It was a cold Friday night at Lakeview University. Classes had ended, dorm rooms hummed with music, and the sidewalks filled with students heading out for the weekend. But for 19-year-old freshman Emily Carter, that night would mark the end of everything familiar. She would vanish between one building and the next, and no one would see her again. Tonight, on Twisted Case File, we examine the life, the choices, and the chilling disappearance, the tireless investigation, and the unanswered questions that continue to haunt the community. Don't forget to like this video, share with friends, and subscribe. Emily Carter was the kind of student professors remembered. Bright, ambitious, majoring in environmental science, she balanced a heavy course load with volunteer work at a local animal shelter. Raised in a quiet suburb 2 hours from the university, she'd been at Lakeview for just 3 months. Friends described her as conscientious but adventurous, someone who loved hiking and late-night debates in the dorm lounge. Emily always had a plan. She'd write out her week in a planner, color-coded. Even on Friday nights, she was the one making sure everyone got home safe. Friday, October 14th. Midterms had just ended. Emily spent most of the evening at the library preparing a presentation. At 10:47 p.m., she swiped her student card at the exit. Surveillance footage shows her crossing the courtyard toward her dorm. She never arrived. It's one of the busiest areas of campus. We've got multiple cameras, streetlights, foot traffic. It's not a place where you expect someone to disappear. When Emily failed to return to her dorm, her roommate grew concerned. Texts went unanswered. Calls went straight to voicemail. By morning, panic had set in. Emily never pulled an all-nighter without telling me. By 8 a.m., I knew something was wrong. At 9:12 a.m., campus police received a missing person report. Within hours, Lakeview University would be thrust into the center of a mystery. Emily grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in Brookhaven, a quiet town known more for its apple orchards than for crime. Her parents, Thomas and Rachel Carter, described her as, quote, fiercely independent but deeply connected to home. She called her mother every evening after class, a ritual that never wavered until October 14th. She texted me at 8:30 saying she'd finish her paper and then go straight to her room. That was the last time I heard from her. Investigators established a minute-by-minute timeline. At 10:32 p.m., Emily texted her roommate, "On my way back." At 10:47 p.m., she exited the library. At 10:49 p.m., a camera picked her up at the northeast corner of the courtyard. And then, nothing. It's as if she walked into thin air. There's a 150-yard stretch between the last camera and her dorm, where there's no direct coverage. We focused our initial search there. Within 24 hours, the campus was blanketed with flyers. Volunteers from the student body joined police to search the grounds. Drones scanned rooftops and wooded areas along the nearby river trail. Nothing emerged. We looked everywhere. The woods, the tunnels under the science building, even dumpsters. It was like she'd been erased. Emily's disappearance ignited public concern. Parents questioned campus safety. Students demanded increased security. National outlets began picking up the story, dubbing it the Lakeview vanishing. Cases like this are rare but not unheard of. The first 48 hours are critical. Unfortunately, by the time major media arrived, those hours had passed. With no signs of struggle and no immediate suspects, speculation ran wild. Did Emily leave on her own? Was she abducted by a stranger? Or was someone she knew involved? We increased patrols and installed new cameras, but without a lead, we were chasing shadows. Emily's parents arrived at Lakeview the next day, launching their own public appeal. They distributed flyers, set up a tip line, and worked with a nonprofit specializing in missing persons. But tips were few, and none led to Emily. Somebody knows something. We just want our daughter back. Detective Laura Chen of the Brookhaven Police Department led the investigation. Working with campus security, she assembled a task force of officers, analysts, and volunteer searchers. The first step: comb through every inch of Emily Carter's last known route. We started with what we knew: time of last sighting, her planned route, and who she interacted with that day. We canvassed the area, knocked on doors, and pulled every piece of digital evidence we could find. Investigators obtained a warrant to access Emily's phone data, social media, and email. Her last outgoing message, "On my way back," sent at 10:32 p.m., showed her still inside the library. Her phone disconnected from the network at 10:51 p.m., only 4 minutes after she left. It wasn't powered down normally. The signal just dropped. Either the battery was removed, the phone was destroyed, or she entered a location where there was no reception. Detectives spoke with more than 200 students, staff, and local residents. Only one person recalled anything unusual: a dark sedan idling near the edge of campus around 10:45 p.m. I was heading back from the gym. There was this car, lights off, just sitting there. I didn't think much of it at the time. With no trace of Emily on campus, the search extended outward. The nearby Mill River Trail became a focal point. Cadaver dogs were brought in. Sonar scanned the riverbed. Day after day, the search turned up nothing. We kept hoping to find some clue, even a dropped earring, a scrap of fabric, but there was nothing. Inside the task force, two main theories took shape. 1. Emily was abducted by a stranger, possibly in that dark sedan. 2. Someone she knew lured her away. We didn't want tunnel vision. We treated it as an abduction but also looked at her social circle. Who did she trust? Who had access to her? Detectives examined Emily's relationships. Her boyfriend, a fellow freshman named Chris, was questioned and cleared. So were her professors, dorm mates, and co-workers at the animal shelter. No one had motive or opportunity that stood out. People online were accusing anyone she knew. It was awful. We just wanted to find her. A breakthrough came from an unexpected angle. A city bus camera, positioned 2 blocks from campus, captured a blurry image of a young woman resembling Emily at 10:55 p.m. walking toward the bus stop, accompanied by a tall figure in a hooded sweatshirt. We couldn't get a face from the footage, but the body language suggested she was walking willingly, not being forced. Passengers on that bus recalled seeing a man in a dark hoodie standing near the stop but no one boarding with him. Police released a composite sketch. Tips flooded in, but each lead fizzled. We chased every call. None panned out. It was frustrating. Investigators dug deeper into Emily's online activity. They found she had joined a local hiking group on social media and exchanged messages with a user named Riverwalker79feet about meeting up to discuss environmental internships. We traced the account to a prepaid phone purchased at a gas station. It was a dead end, but it showed someone had targeted her with a plausible pretext. By the 3rd week, frustration boiled over. Students organized vigils and protests demanding transparency. Rumors swirled about serial predators, secret tunnels, and cover-ups. Detectives had to separate fact from fiction. Every rumor cost us time. But we also knew the public was scared. They wanted answers. Under mounting pressure, Detective Chen promised weekly updates. But behind the scenes, she worried the trail was growing cold. Every day that passes without a lead is a day we might not get back. On November 6th, 3 weeks after Emily vanished, a volunteer searcher made a discovery near the old maintenance sheds on the far edge of campus, a torn strap from a black canvas backpack, identical to the one Emily carried. I almost didn't see it. It was under some leaves. When I realized what it was, my heart stopped. DNA testing confirmed it belonged to Emily. At last, investigators had a new focal point. Inside the shed, police found traces of duct tape, a discarded water bottle, and footprints leading toward a service road. The shed was rarely used, accessible only by a maintenance key. This was the first physical evidence connecting Emily to a specific location after she left the library. Investigators turned their attention to the university's maintenance staff. Background checks revealed one employee with a troubling history. Caleb Morris, 32, a temporary contractor hired only weeks before Emily's disappearance. He'd failed to disclose a prior arrest for unlawful restraint in another state. His paperwork slipped through because he was technically hired by a subcontractor. We didn't know about his past. Police placed Morris under surveillance. He lived alone in a rented trailer outside Brookhaven and drove a white panel van. Detectives watched him dispose of trash bags at odd hours in frequent isolated areas. We didn't have enough for an arrest, but we wanted to see where he'd lead us. With growing evidence but no direct proof, Detective Chen petitioned for a warrant to search Caleb Morris's property. On November 12th, nearly a month after Emily's disappearance, the warrant was granted. Inside, officers found a disturbing array of items: rope, zip ties, and a burner phone registered to no one. In a locked toolbox, they discovered a student ID badge, Emily Carter's. That was the moment everything shifted. We knew he had her belongings. The question was, where was she? Morris was taken into custody for questioning. He denied knowing Emily or ever entering the maintenance shed. But when confronted with the student ID, his story began to crack. He kept saying, "I just found it." Over and over. He wouldn't look me in the eye. Forensic analysis linked Morris's fingerprints to the duct tape in the shed, and his DNA to the water bottle found nearby. Phone records showed his burner phone pinging off a tower near the library the night Emily vanished. It was the first solid link between him and her disappearance. With Morris in custody, investigators redoubled their search of properties connected to him. Dogs were brought to several remote locations he frequented. On November 15th, a cadaver dog alerted near an abandoned quarry 10 miles from campus. In a shallow depression at the edge of the quarry, searchers found a tarp-wrapped bundle. Inside were clothing and a backpack matching Emily's description. But Emily herself was not there. It was heartbreaking. We wanted to find her alive. Still, we weren't giving up. Confronted with the quarry evidence, Morris broke. He admitted to luring Emily under the pretext of an internship meeting, taking her to the maintenance shed, and then driving her away in his van. But when asked where she was now, his answers became evasive. He claimed he dropped her off somewhere safe. We didn't believe him. 2 days later, a hiker called the tip line. She had seen a white van parked at an abandoned cabin in the state forest weeks earlier. Police rushed to the site. Inside the cabin's basement, chained but alive, was Emily Carter. Malnourished but conscious, she reached out to rescuers. After 33 days missing, she had been found. She was weak, but when she saw us, she said, "I knew you'd come." It's something I'll never forget. Emily spent weeks recovering in a secure medical facility. Her parents stayed by her side. The community that had searched for her now rallied to support her. "We're just grateful she's alive. We can start to heal." Caleb Morris was charged with kidnapping, unlawful restraint, and attempted murder. Faced with overwhelming evidence and Emily's testimony, he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life without parole. This was one of the most challenging cases of my career. But seeing Emily walk into that courtroom gave us all strength. Lakeview University overhauled its security policies, expanding camera coverage, improving lighting, and instituting background checks for all contractors. We learned a hard lesson. Our students' safety must come first. Months later, Emily returned briefly to campus to thank the people who had searched for her. Her courage inspired a scholarship fund for victims of violent crime. I don't want what happened to me to happen to anyone else. If telling my story can help, I'll keep telling it. Emily's case spurred new state legislation requiring universities to immediately share security footage with law enforcement during active missing person investigations. Advocates hope these measures will save lives. On a cold October night, a promising young student vanished, and for weeks it seemed she might never come home. Thanks to persistence, community, and a little luck, Emily Carter was rescued. Her story stands as a warning, but also as a testament to hope. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share with friends, and also subscribe.